Well, greetings everyone, and welcome to another version of. I guess I better get the game off here. All right. Welcome once again to another session right here with us on the Pewter's Corner, home of the Sports Q. Excuse me, on the Sports Krib. I'm even on the wrong show tonight, you guys. What's going on here? Uh, but welcome to the Sports Krib, and we have a very special guest tonight, Coach Saquon Hicks. We'll get to all our guests and everyone here in a minute, but let me introduce our panel. Dave, how are you doing this evening? Haven't been seeing you for a while.
Doing okay. Back in Maryland.
All right, Reggie, how you doing, man?
Glad to be here, my friend. Good to see you, fellas. Glad to be here with everybody.
I see you representing the A there.
Yeah, I try every chance I get.
I hear you. Before we get the coach on here, let's grab Dave for Sue's Corner.
All right. Yep. Sue got the agenda, and here's what she came up with. Summer is here, and 'tis the season for golf, tennis, and baseball. And many stories go along with these sports, along with all the other summer activities. Golf had one of the majors this past weekend, the PGA. Putting aside the Scheffler drama, it was nice to see Xander Schauffele win one of the big ones. He held his nerves and sank a decent putt to avoid overtime play with DeChambeau. Xander has a great backstory. A French-German dad who has been a great coach for him and a Taiwanese mother. Xander's father was not on site. He is building a family compound farm in Hawaii and currently living in a shipping container to oversee the work. He was able to go to a friend's house to watch the match. He taught Xander that persistence is important, and one of their family mottos is, and this is German, Stetter Tropfen Holt den Stein, which translates to constant dripping wears away the stone. Xander has been plugging away at winning a tournament like water on a stone and now has a huge one under his belt. It will be fun to see where all this all goes. On a quick baseball note, fun story is circulating about Bryce Harper going with a kid from New Jersey to help him ask a girl to the prom. Always nice to read those little human interest stories. The French Open tennis starts next week. A bit of tennis trivia. The famous or infamous, more on that another week, Pancho Gonzalez was married 6 times. His last wife was Andre Agassi's sister, Rita. She was 24, he was 56.
Nice.
That did not go over well with the family. Pancho was broke at the end of his tumultuous life, and Andre Agassi paid for his funeral, even though his sister had divorced Pancho. More on summer sports as the season continues. So that's Sue's Corner.
Nice.
Sue always brings some type of trivia or a sport that we're not really used to hearing about. So it's always great hearing from Sue. Guys, let's talk to our guest tonight, Coach Saquon Hicks. Coach, how are you doing this evening?
I'm pretty good. How was everybody doing? Glad to be here.
Very good. Very good. Welcome, my friend.
Yeah, we're kind of all over the country. Those guys are back east, Atlanta, Maryland. I'm out here in San Diego, so we're kind of all over the place here. But Coach, I was reading your bio, and I found some very interesting things. So let's start out with your career and your background. Can you share your journey in football from player to coach?
Yes. Shoot, man. I'm a guy where I pretty much always had a deep love for football. Um, I was a kid that learned how to catch at a real early age, and I was extremely fast at a real early age. So I kind of just knew football was for me. So my dad kind of got me playing real early. I played football with pads on for the first time at 7 years old. Pretty much, the first position I ever played was cornerback. I guess it was something about the way I moved. The coach was like, "Give him a try at corner," and then from there, it pretty much been history. I've been playing corner pretty much my whole life. Offensively, I played a little running back and a little receiver, but I pretty much was mainly a corner my whole life. Um, from there, I pretty much just kept playing football. I had a rough couple teenage years, but like I said, I knew I loved football. I knew I was good at it. It was one of the few things I knew that I was good at. So I just found a way to keep on playing. I ended up going to college, ended up going to Morgan State. Pretty much the walk on route didn't work too well for me, so I ended up dropping out. And then from there, I kept playing football. I started playing pro indoor football. Pretty much, I played that for about 8 or 9 years. I played all the way up till 29. I think my first year I was about 21, 22. I ended up retiring around 29. But how I ended up getting into coaching was pretty much the whole time I was playing football, I was chasing the NFL. I was traveling, I was doing all types of stuff, playing all up and down the East Coast, just chasing my dream, just doing whatever I had to do to try to make it happen. So around 25, I just started being a little more realistic. I was about halfway through. I know that if I don't make it by 30, NFL wise, 29, 30, or 28, 29, then it's not going to happen. So around 25 ish, I pretty much just dug into my backup plan. My backup plan was to be a personal trainer and to start coaching football. And I wanted to get into my backup plan halfway through my playing career. So about 25, I became a certified personal trainer and I started coaching high school football. Pretty much I was a defensive backs coach at York Tech High School over here at Pennsylvania. I got my start from there and I just been at it ever since. Just trying to, that's what I love to do, just trying to double up. Shoot, most times I coach tackle all year round for the most part. So I'll find some way to coach that in the spring and then I'll coach in the fall too. So pretty much just whatever I can do to be on the field, to be on that sideline.
So, other than age, what was the most challenging aspect of your transition from player to coach?
The most difficult transition was me improving my people skills, my communication skills. As a player, I can kind of pick and choose who I deal with, how I deal with them. As a coach, there's no picking and choosing who you're dealing with or pretty much how you're dealing with them. You have to deal with everybody. You have to speak to everybody. You have to comfort everybody, pretty much, so to speak. So that was my biggest thing. Just I wasn't a really big people's person, just based off of my teenage days.
So, what inspired you to pursue a coaching, particularly in youth and high school football?
Well, I know for me, I just realized that that age, especially that early teenage years, those are very crucial years as far as like development. Those years pretty much can impact the next 10 to 15 years of your life. So I just understood that and I just tried to be that person that I wish I had around that age. Just pretty much to get that guidance and pretty much just lead them down the right path. Like just what I wish I had when I was at the age.
So, it's your experience as a player that influences your coaching style with the kids?
Yes, yes, for sure. I pride myself on being a player's coach. One of my favorite parts of coaching periods is being around the players. I enjoy being around the coaches, but I really enjoy being around the players, just relating to them and put myself in their shoes. So pretty much it helped me be the coach that I felt like I wanted and I needed. I I always felt like the head coach should stand up for his players no matter what. So let's say the referee is making some bad calls. I feel like as a player, I feel like that's the head coach's job to stand up for that player. And if he got to take a penalty, then he need to take a penalty so that the referee can call that game fair. And I know that I didn't get that as a player, so I didn't like that feeling. So I just want to make sure my players never experience that. I'll take the flag if I need to take the flag. that's why I have an assistant head coach that can pretty much step in and do the job for me.
So I got to ask you about your nicknames here, Coach. Coach Trap and Dr. Trap. What's the significance of those nicknames, hold for you personally and professionally?
Yes, sir. So pretty much I got the name. My nickname was Trap as a teenager, pretty much just off of the type of stuff we was doing and the way we was moving. So the nickname Trap stuck with me pretty much all the way. I'm gonna say halfway through my teenage years, and then my first year playing arena football, the owner and the head coach of the team, he started calling me Trap Island because I was a cornerback and I was catching my first year playing arena football, well, pro indoor football. Well, it was the development that year, but my first year playing indoor football period, I had 9 interceptions, and I ended up getting a pro indoor contract based off of that season. And the head coach / owner started calling me Trap Island. So then Trap Island was like my nickname during my playing career, and then Trap just kept going once I retired. Got into Coach Trap, and then I'm a certified personal trainer as well. So I have over a dozen different personal training certifications. So pretty much with that, Dr. Trap got incorporated with it. And then I don't really tell people this much, but I'm currently back in college. So I'm pretty much just grinding, just trying to stay at it and reach new heights. So that kind of Dr. Trap kind of played with that as well. So it definitely has some personal and some professional significance to me, but I see them all as pretty much just nicknames, so to speak.
A little bit about your coaching philosophy here. What are your core values and principles when it comes to coaching young athletes?
Yes, first and foremost, I talk about being coachable. Coachable can go a whole bunch of different ways. It's about your body language. It's about how you take the coaching. If you applying the coaching immediately, if you try your hardest, a whole bunch of things like that, a whole bunch of things around that area and across those lines. Pretty much that's my biggest thing, being coachable. I love to talk to the students and my players about the fact that they're a student athlete first, that if they have good grades as a kid, their life going to be easier as an adult. At the end of the day, we all want to be able to make $1 million, so to speak, and we want to make that $1 million using our brains and not having to break our backs, so to speak. And you have a better chance of that happening if you're digging in the classroom like you need to be. What else? Listen to your parents. Listen to your parents. I try to tell my players to listen to your parents. Like most times, most parents just try to make your life easier. Just listen. They was already your age. Just listen. Try to make it easier for your teachers, sit in front of the class. Sit in front of the class, be attentive, just stuff like that. Don't be a a-hole to your teachers. Don't make their life harder. Just little things like that.
You've also written a few articles here, and one I was looking at on stress and fitness. And in your article, you discussed the connection between stress and fitness. Can you elaborate a little bit on those key points, like the initial steps you recommend for someone starting to address their stress, and specific strategies that you might recommend to a player that to manage his stress?
Yes. So when it comes to stress and fitness, prolonged stress is really bad. Prolonged stress can lead to cardiovascular diseases, and pretty much it's really bad. It can lead to brain fog. It can lead to anxiety and depression. And working out is the best natural stress reliever. It's a natural stress reliever, and it's the best one. So just working out, work out. Find a happy place. Find a quiet place. Meditate. There's a whole bunch of ways that I go about it that I try to just teach my players and athletes pretty much just to deal with their stress. Stress also makes you age faster. So of course we don't want to age faster, so we want to work out. If stress,
you know, I'm only 21, right? I mean,
yes, sir. You're good, my brother. Working out helped with all of that. All of that. Oh, it's nice. Yeah.
You also talked about mental and physical health. How do you address the mental health challenges that the athletes face? And can you share a specific mindfulness or relaxation technique that has proved effective for your players or even yourself?
Yes, yes. When it comes to mental health, first and foremost, all coaches have to create an environment where players feel safe, pretty much where they can speak on those type of things. And it has to, even if it's not to me being the head coach or at the youth level or being a defensive coordinator at the high school level, even if it's not with me, it's with one of the coaches, and then we'll get with each other and pretty much figure how deep the issue is and involve the parents if we need to, but pretty much just create a safe place that we can talk about these things. And depending on the severity of the situation, we would get the parents involved and, of course, get them to seek professional help if it's that serious. But it's a very, very serious and a very important issue for us. Pretty much as far as techniques, pretty much like I was saying, just provide opportunities and safe spaces. That's the biggest thing. A kid has to feel safe to express themselves and not feel judged, and definitely feel like it's not going to get used against them. So just things like that.
What role does nutrition play in your coaching and training program? How do you address the nutritional challenges or unhealthy eating habits among your athletes?
Yes, nutrition is a big part of my training and my coaching. When it comes to training, every client I train, I give them a personalized nutrition guide. So they pretty much just I ask them a bunch of questions, health related questions. For example, I need to know if they have high blood pressure or diabetes. Then the way I would structure their nutrition guide for high blood pressure is different than the one for diabetes, of course. So pretty much I just personalize it for them. Every single person I train, they get their own personalized one. As far as my players, I use them as an example. Let's say a kid is coming in and he's not moving like he's supposed to. He's moving lethargic, and he's looking like he's extremely thirsty, and he pretty much is not giving his best effort. But you can kind of tell that he tried. Then from there, I know I'm gonna ask him, man, what did you eat? What you eat last night? When the last time you drank some water? What did you eat this morning? What time did you eat? So just stuff like that. I use them as an example, pretty much for the future. So then I'll let them know what they should eat. Like for example, we have a training session at 10 o'clock, 10 a.m., but they didn't get up till 9 o'clock. So of course they're not going to have time to get a full breakfast, get washed up, get dressed, get ready for the whole nine, and be ready to train properly at 10 o'clock. So what I tell them is, and make sure you eat some fruit. Make sure you eat some fruit. Don't ask your mom to stop past McDonald's on your way here because you're going to throw up. And then to take it a step further, it's a little petty of me, but it helps me get through to my players more. If a player tell me that he ate McDonald's before he came to a training session, I'm going to work him harder, and he probably going to throw up.
See, that's some abusive coaching there.
Life lesson.
We had a coach on last week that that was his theme at the end, abusive coaching. So that was I was just kind of I come from the throw dirt on it generation, so I'm all the way out there, the other side. But Coach, I'm going to turn you over to my panel here for the next 10 minutes or so. Dave, you got any questions, observations, anything?
Sure. One thing. Where did you play high school football? Because you're from Baltimore, right?
Yes, I'm from Baltimore. So my teenage years was rough. So I initially for high school, I ended up going to Baltimore City College for my ninth grade year.
Okay.
And then and of course, it takes real good grades to get in there. I was pretty much a A student all the way up till that point. then I kind of got out there in the streets a little bit, started making bad decisions, and I ended up dropping out of school that year. So from there, I ended up failing in ninth grade. I had to end up going to a school called Baltimore Freedom Academy, and I went there for my 4 years down Lombard Street, close to downtown, pretty much. I went there for my 4 years. I ended up graduating from there, and we just had a basketball team. So I played basketball all 4 years there, and I just kept myself in shape to play football.
Oh, they didn't have a football team.
No, sir.
So
We just
was
got together.
Was Dunbar playing then? The Dunbar Poets?
Yes. Dunbar was down the
All right.
street. We were maybe a mile away from Dunbar. Dunbar was pretty good. When I went to high school, I'm gonna say I'm the same year as Tavon Austin, so to speak.
Okay. And then one thing to follow up on like the health of the players. The big thing in football now is the concussions and the tackling rules and what's allowed, what's not allowed. How do you address that at the high school level? Especially like with the parents and the concern about concussions. Is there something that you do in practice, or how do you handle that?
Yeah, so me personally, I still teach the original old school way of tackling, but I emphasize getting the head out of the way, getting your head out of the way and using your shoulders. I remind my players that, man, you got them big shoulder pads on for a reason. Use them. Your helmet just to protect you. It's not to hit nobody. Them big shoulder pads is for you to hit people. And I just try to make sure I emphasize tackling. Every single defensive practice, we do a tackling circuit, and our tackling circuit consists of pretty much 4 different components of tackling, and we drill it, and it's pretty much a circuit. Every group get to do it for a certain amount of time before we get to the next period of tackling. Then I pretty much do something that I like to call a funnel drill, where pretty much it's like a 3-level drill with linemen, linebackers, and secondary, and a running back, of course. So we put a lot of time into tackling just to make sure we can tackle properly, because I don't want nobody getting hurt on my watch.
And then where is your school located that you're coaching at?
My high school team that I coach now, I'm coaching in Baltimore right now. This is my first year coaching high school in Baltimore. I'm the defensive coordinator at Ben Franklin High School in Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay.
All my other years, I was coaching in York, Pennsylvania. So last year I was at Central York High School, pretty much elite powerhouse 6A school.
All right, Reggie, did you have questions?
Yeah, I got a couple. Saquon, you said, first of all, thanks for coming on. You said that you, how long have you been coaching? I apologize if I missed, if you said it already.
Oh, no, I didn't say it yet. I didn't want to quite give my age up, but I started coaching it.
You're safe on this show, Saquon. On this show, you'll be all right.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I started coaching at 25. I am heading into my 10th season, pretty much coaching varsity football. So overall, I don't really like to say years. I like to say seasons, because most years I've coached tackle in the spring and the fall, and I don't put those in the same categories because they different teams, they different players, it's different dynamics. So pretty much I like to say seasons. So I'll say 10 years and about 14 15 seasons.
So I'm going to kind of piggyback off something that Dave was talking about earlier, because I was interested to see your perspective on it. And that's if there's a lot to be, you hear a lot about people saying that kids aren't playing as much football because of the CTE repercussions, because of all the injuries and stuff like that. And there's a lot to be made about that in the media. From which you've seen over the past 10 years, do you see about the same amount of participation from kids, or is it falling off at all?
It depends on the area. I would say that kids are still playing football. There's still a good number of kids playing football. I pretty much just think that it comes down to tackling techniques and just being smart about it. If everybody just emphasize the fact that them shoulder pads is what you hit with those shoulders and not that helmet, then it'll make things a lot easier across the board, across the country, across all levels for everybody. Use those shoulder pads. Don't grab people. stop reaching, stop grabbing, hit people with your shoulders, and get that helmet out the way.
Okay, and last question I would have, and it's kind of like a final follow up to that question. Over the last 10 years, did you ever see a certain position become more popular than another? Like somebody maybe when you first started, the offensive positions were more popular, and now you see some of the defensive positions picking up later in the later years. Is there any change, or has it been about consistent the whole time you've been coaching?
I want to say that the quarterback is changing a little more, in my opinion. When I first started coaching, quarterbacks was athletic, but they're a little more athletic now. Pretty much every team has a dual threat quarterback. Pretty much the pocket passer, so to speak, is rare. They're the harder ones to stop, in my opinion. But those guys are rare. They're a rarity nowadays. When, in my opinion, what I come across, normally most teams have a dual threat quarterback. Everybody trying to do the Michael Vick, Lamar Jackson type of thing.
Absolutely. All right, appreciate that, man.
No problem at all.
Saquon, one thing I want to follow up real quick because I played a little cornerback back in the day, like I said, but Jack Tatum and George Atkinson was, those were my idols. So I mean, get them on the ground any way possible.
That's the criminal element there, James.
Like I said, rub some dirt on it, get your ass back out on the field.
This is old Steeler Raider stuff.
But Saquon, the drop hip tackle. Now, I experienced, if a bigger guy had a step on me, that was probably the only way that I could get him down. How do you, adapt new techniques, especially at that position?
That is very tough. And the reason why I say that's very tough, because me being a corner, I was only 175 pounds, 180 at my best. I was pretty strong. At my strongest, I could bench about 300. But at the same time, we talking about, for example, I remember I played arena ball down Florida one year, pro indoor ball down Florida one year, and the running back was 260 pounds. So he could move. So he popped up the middle. He was gone. And I had to run over there, and I had to make a business decision. And I still tackled him. He landed on me, and he hurt my knee. I was having a great game. I had 2 interceptions. But he hurt my knee, and I was out the rest of the way off of that tackle right there. And this is why I say it's tough, because man, those guys are big. Those guys are big. Those guys are strong. Those guys are fast. And you got to get those guys on the ground any way possible. You got to get those guys on the ground any way possible. Most times, like we talking about Derrick Henry. Let's say I had to tackle Derrick Henry. You can't tell me how to not tackle Derrick Henry. The way I tackle him is the way I tackle him. I'm not gonna grab his face mask or his hair or nothing like that. But the way I get him on the ground is the way I get him on the ground. Like, I shouldn't get a penalty for that. But I get it. They want to protect the players, but that's a rule that I do not like at all. So for me personally, I would take that penalty. I wouldn't be too mad at my players if they caught that penalty. Like I said, I'm a player's coach. I would put myself in that situation, and I would like, man, I probably would have did the same thing. I'm not even mad at you for it. It is what it is. We just got to keep playing ball and make another play after that.
Player's coach. I love it. But I'm glad to see you took some time out of your evening to come on the show. And we look forward to having you back on the show, because I'm sure during the season and the preseason, we're going to want some of your insights on and maybe even on some of the things that's happening with the NCAA. Yeah. So we thank you for your time, and you got any final thoughts for us, my man?
I super appreciate you guys having me on anytime I come on the show, anytime. A couple of things. I'm a big Texans fan. I'm not one of those new age Texans fans. I've been a Texans fan since Steve Slayton. So everybody go, fans at home, go do your homework. I've been a Texans fan since Steve Slayton. I'm from Baltimore City. My favorite football team ever is Miami Hurricanes, the U. So that should already kind of tell you how I got to the Texans. Andre Johnson, baby. So my guy making the Hall of Fame this year.
Hall of Famer. Yeah.
Texas Nation, baby. Hope it be a great year.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. And as I say, we hope to have you back.
It's great meeting you, Saquon.
All right. See you later, bro.
See y'all. Have a great rest of you guys' evening.
Take care.
So, Reggie, how are you doing this evening, man? Long time since you've been back. Saquon, you can stick around and hang out with us if you want.
He was on his way out of here. He was on right on the edge there. Yeah, man, life's been good, man. Life's been good. Been a few weeks. Glad to be back on.
Okay, I know you're kind of pressed for time, but we're gonna kick it a little bit here, and hopefully some of the other guys will show up. But hey, I just thought it would be nice to have a few guests down this evening on
Absolutely.
our show. Next week, we're going to have a gentleman that is actually he's the owner and coach of the Indianapolis Royals, which is a women's basketball league in, well, of course, Indianapolis, but they play, I guess they're kind of the farm system that they're setting up for the WNBA. So
Wow, that's interesting.
So he'll be on next week. Usual 20 minutes, half hour or so. So guys, couple things here. Don, you were on last week, but Reggie, I want to ask you this question because I had on my black socks last week, and as you can see, I mean, because I mean, even in the criminal element, this didn't make sense to me. Otani's interpreter has a gambling scandal that's being developed into a TV series.
Now, that's wild.
Now, Otani says he had no involvement or he didn't know about any of these said activities, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But the man lost $40 million. So I decided to change this into yen, okay?
Okay.
So in yen, he lost 6,212,040,000 yen.
It's a lot of yen.
Yeah. So maybe you didn't miss 40 million, but you didn't miss 6 billion yen. And the interpreter is not your accountant. So what I'm kind of getting here is like Pete Rose was banned for gambling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm not really a Pete Rose fan, but what happened here?
Well, first of all, on your last point, Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, let's let it go. Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. I know. I think it's a little bit different because Rose, if I'm not mistaken, admitted to gambling, whereas Otani still, has the "it wasn't me" plausible deniability situation going right now. Because hey, until they can say it was him, was it him? I don't really know that it was. I hope he fired his accountant. Forget firing his interpreter. Fire your accountant also. All those guys need to go.
He got it broken down to 2 charges. He pled guilty. He got a plea bargain.
His interpreter did?
Yeah. Okay.
So I would just start taking a hard look at the rest of your team. If I'm not getting this information, if I'm just focusing on playing baseball, then I need to take the look at the rest of my team that's in charge of my finances. I shouldn't have this kind of thing. I mean, you should have been caught way before $40 million. I'm just going to put that out there. I mean, $15 million missing is pretty incredible randomly. So it's interesting that the guy would have got away with gambling that much and not have had anything happen until they catch Otani red-handed, I guess. I mean, he's always going to have plausible deniability. I mean, and I don't blame him. I mean, it wasn't me until, something comes out and says it was,
Oh man. Reg, there's only 4 schools that have not used the portal: Air Force, Army, Navy, and Clemson. Do you think that this is going to be Dabo Swinney's downfall, not using the portal?
Yes, absolutely. Look at the other teams that he's here with. You're here with Army, Navy, and the Air Force. And you, when you're on a list like this, this isn't exactly the SEC that we're looking at down there. Like you're gonna have to figure something out unless you aspire to be like Air Force, Army, or Navy, or have the same results that Air Force, Army, and Navy have had. I don't. He's gonna have to use the portal at some point. I mean, you can do the whole I'm not gonna adjust. You could always just do like what other coaches have done and just retire. If you feel like you don't like the way things are going, just retire. Don't take the school down with you, because the school is what's gonna suffer. If you're not getting players in here, you're not getting players in the pipeline, you might get fired and have nothing in the pipeline for the future coaches that come in, and your school has to take a couple of years just retooling. So I'm hoping he makes an adjustment. If he decides he wants to stay a coach, he should make an adjustment, or else look to have results that kind of resemble Air Force, Army, and Navy.
What do you think, Dave?
Well, you know, the portal's been around 6 years, right? I think it was started in 2018, and then of course you had the whole pandemic in the middle of that. But like Reggie said, I mean, you have 3 academy schools. Of course, they can't use the portal, right? You have to be appointed to the academies. They just can't take in transfer.
You can't just take anybody, right?
Right. So and so, and you do have Nick Saban. I think he put head coaching in the too hard to do box to be a perennial national champion, and so he stepped down. And so I think that coaches are going to have to make a hard decision. In the case of Swinney, I mean, how can you compete today if everybody else is recruiting veteran players from the other teams? So if he wants to compete, then he's going to have to play along. If not, then the decision may be made for him. And the Clemson alumni, I'm sure, seeing that list, they're not very happy, because they want to win like anybody else. And the other 3 teams, I don't think that they can use the portal.
Well,
right, that's a great point.
They can. It's just that there are
They
rules.
can't. No. You have to go to an academy. You have to have an appointment.
Yeah,
You have to be
I
appointed
realize.
by a congressman.
Yeah, there's service academies. I understand what you're saying, but I'm saying, I mean, I think it's the fact that there's service academies the reason why they can't use the portal.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Not.
I don't think you want to be on that list,
No,
because that's not your problem. Clemson.
Because Clemson's not an academy.
right. You're just choosing not to use it.
And
So I just think he's going to either have to adapt, and if you don't adapt, well, then you go extinct.
Well,
that's it. And then I think that some coaches, they're making the decision. They would rather be a coordinator than a head coach at this point.
Just step out of it if that's not what you want to do any longer.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It is harder though. Yeah. Guys, I'm gonna talk just a little bit about the finals, which we see. The first one is on tonight, which is the Mavericks are playing. Who are the Mavericks playing tonight?
Mavericks are playing the Timberwolves.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and Mr. Scott's not here. My goodness. Okay, we must have really came on early, but anyway, the fact that the Timberwolves beat the defending champs. What did you guys think about that particular series?
You can go first.
Reggie, you got to take this.
I already knew. I try not to jump in there for you, Dave, but I was going to. I was going to take care of this for you. All right, so easy tape. When you look at the last game, Jaden McDaniels, 23 points. All the role players combined for the Nuggets, 21 points. And that'll do it for you. Your role players got to step up when it comes down to it in these games. And that's where you see the difference oftentimes. It's like Shaq has said, the other guys, and that's oftentimes what it is. Yours two superstars both had over 30 in that decisive game 7. And if the other role players had even had 3 to 4 points apiece, then it would have been a different game. So to me, it just comes down to the other guys and not really Jokic and Murray not really getting that help.
And I got to ask you about last night's game because the Pacers were in a perfect position to beat the Celtics last night.
Yes, they were.
And, they let the Celtics come back and beat them in overtime. So do you think that this series is going to go the full 7 or?
Yeah, it can, because when you look at the fact that the Pacers have lost their first game in the last 4 series and they're still here, they're still advancing. They still keep advancing, even though they've been losing their first game. So we all know that in NBA, you can't react to one game. In any of these sports, I think they have 7-game series. You can't react to a game. It takes 2 to 3 games, I think, for me to see some kind of pattern here. The Pacers were lucky to be in it that late. You're on somebody else's floor. Nobody really picks you. They got them as the underdog, so they were competing in that game all the way up to the end. Costly mistakes by Halliburton, their best player, dribbling off his foot. They're making those little mistakes at the end, which I think you can attribute to kind of like a youth. Boston's been here the last few years, and this is the same thing that you saw with the Patriots. A lot of times when teams would play them in the Super Bowl and in the postseason, is that they just don't beat themselves. They're so used to being there that you're going to have to play perfect because they've been in these situations. They know how to deal with certain pressures in these situations. They know how to deal with playing in high pressure ball games. And I feel like Boston is used to it. Indiana is not young and upcoming team. And I think you saw that kind of slip away from them down the stretch.
Yeah, well, I saw the same thing. So, guys, let's jump right here into the NFL. Our first,
James, can I ask one women's basketball question? I wanted to get your impression. I hear that Caitlin Clark, she's kind of having a rough start there.
She is having a rough start.
Your thoughts on is she going to be able to adapt, or what do you think is going to happen with her in the WNBA?
You want to take that, Reg? You want?
Yeah, I can take it, absolutely. When you're looking at that adjustment period, I think she came out her first game and had 20, struggled her second game. The style of game that she plays is a make or miss game. If she's not hitting those shots, then all of a sudden she looks like she's barely belongs out there. And when the shot's going in, she looks like Steph Curry. So it's kind of like it's an exciting style of play to watch. However, when I think it was Diana Taurasi said that there's going to be an adjustment period for her when she came into the game, and people hated on Diana, thought that she was being a hater. And I think what you're seeing is what she said, because there was 2 parts to that quote. She said that when she comes into the professional game, there's going to be some struggling there, but she'll adjust. She felt like she'll adjust. So people kind of honed in on just the first part. So when Caitlin Clark came out and had a decent preseason game, people were trolling Diana Taurasi a lot. They were trolling her because of her bad preseason or the great preseason game that Caitlin had. Caitlin comes into the league, and these are grown women out here. You're seeing the difference. And
Physical.
Yes, very physical. And Rachel Nichols, she made an excellent point about the women's game versus the NBA game that I want to kind of talk about here. And she said, in the NBA game, if you're the 200th best player on earth, you can be the 200th best player on earth and still be better than half of the guys in the NBA. But if you're the 200th best WNBA player, you're not even in the league. So they only have their players are about 140, 150 players. So these are literally the best 140, 150 human beings who play this game on earth versus the NBA where there's like 400 guys. You can be middling there and still have a very good career. You're middling in the WNBA or you're around the 200 best player on earth. You're not even in the league. This is what she's up against. She's going in and playing against the other 140 best human beings who've ever played the game playing currently. So I think there's going to be an adjustment period for her. But she did still have 20 her first game. That's encouraging, right? I mean, she
But
out there had 20. It's not like she's
had 10
at 5.
turnovers too, though.
10 turnovers, the most turnovers ever by a rookie. And at this point, she's in prove it mode, Dave. I mean, she's gonna have to go out there now. She had a nice college run. You have a basketball deal, you have a shoe deal before you ever dribbled in the WNBA. Now you're there, you're going to be targeted by these other women who are like, hey, we've been out here doing this in the WNBA. Nobody's ever talked about us the way they talk about you. You just come in and you get anointed to these endorsement deals and stuff like that. And now, Dave, they're going to want her to go out there and prove it. I think she will be able to prove it, but she's going to have to actually do it, though, you know?
All right. No, I appreciate that.
It's going to be very interesting because I personally liked Angel Reese, but next week we'll have Coach Williams talk about that. I asked him who was his favorite player, and he liked Angel Reese also. But it's interesting to see how this WNBA and women's basketball is going to succeed in Indianapolis. So I thought he would be interesting to talk to. So,
absolutely,
Dave, make sure you get here, and I'm sure he'll have some thoughts, more technical thoughts about Caitlin's game as well as Angel Reese. So, are we ready for some NFL?
Always ready, my friend.
Yep.
Always ready.
All right. This is called tag or bag. What I'm saying is, do you think these guys are going to get the franchise tag, or do you think they're going to get paid? And we're going to start out with the Fins quarterback, Tua. He's in his 5th year of his rookie contract. He's guaranteed a base salary of, what is that, $23.1 million.
You missed a decimal or something there. I was like, is this guy making $2 billion this year? That's an incredible contract.
Yeah, 20. It's actually 23.17 million. That's what he did. Yeah, I had to look at that note myself there. Yeah, I was like, damn. Yeah. So he's scheduled, like I said, to make a base salary of 23.17 mil. Are they going to tag him, or are they going to give him the bag, or is he going to be a free agent?
You want to go, Dave? I can go after Dave.
Sure. Well, this is kind of a difficult one if I'm the team, because he just had his first complete season last year. And he bulked up a little bit, but he had a great season, right? But now, he's back in the OTAs. It looks like he's lost a little bit of weight. And so really, the question is last year, is that what you're going to expect from Tua for the next 4 or 5 years? Or is that injury bug going to come back, the concussions and the other injuries? So, man, that's a real difficult question. But I think with his talent, if I'm Miami, they probably want to lock him down for a contract, a longer term contract. I mean, just because of what the potential that he showed last year. But again, I think that they would be doing some soul searching because it is a risk, because last year that's the first time he completed the season. So, but he had a whale of a season.
Yeah, I'm going to say he's going to there. Maybe they tag with the hope of negotiating the bag. What's not, I'm going to tell you what's not going to happen. Free agency, forget about that. There's no way in hell. They're not letting the guy walk out of there. Like you see what the NFL quarterbacks go for these days. None of these teams are just letting a guy walk out of there. You have the 3,000 to 4,000 yards, and you're not just walking out of here. So I don't see he's not leaving. At least the Dolphins aren't just going to let him walk. Maybe they tag him, but I think they're trying to negotiate a bag that makes them comfortable with their given situation. This isn't the guy that you want to give the Patrick Mahomes deal to. You want to maybe you give the guy 5, guaranteed 3-ish if he'll take that. and see if maybe you can see how the next 2 to 3 years ago for you. So maybe you do something like that. You know, you look at what we did here in Atlanta. It might be $100 million contract. It's $100 million in the first really 2 to 3 years. We didn't give the guy $250 million or give him a 5-6 year contract or something like that. And maybe Tua's age deserves that, but his injury history doesn't deserve it. So I think they're trying to find a way to reconcile that kind of like with themselves. I think eventually they do get to the bag, but they're not letting them leave though. Free agency would be a shocker.
Okay, Reg, then you can start this one. Cowboys wide receiver CeeDee Lamb is on his 5th-year option, and he's guaranteed $17.99 million. Don't know why they didn't give him 18, but anyway. So are the Cowboys going to tag him, or are they going to give him the bag?
Similar answer to what I just said. Maybe you tag him, but they're working on the bag. I mean, he's a guy. He's not going anywhere. You know, some of these guys you see and you just know they're not leaving. CeeDee Lamb is not leaving Dallas. And unless only way a player like CeeDee Lamb leaves is how Stephon kind of left the Bills. Like if you're just disgruntled, you just don't want to be there or something like that. Neither party has shown that they don't want to negotiate with the other. So it tells me that he's going to be there. At least for another 2 to 3 years. Maybe they try to rework this. I don't know what that deal's going to look like. Maybe they try to rework this a bit. But it'd be surprising to me if CeeDee Lamb wasn't on this team for the next at least 2 to 3 seasons easily.
But you know the fans and the Cowboys are both kind of cash strapped, right?
And they're going to have to do something. Somebody's got to go. But it ain't going to be that guy.
Yeah. Well, I think so far, Gallup's the only one that left, right? I think he was the only one. Pretty sure. Dave, what do you think about CD?
Well, I mean, from what I understand, he sat out and these are voluntary OTAs, the organized training activities. So he's been sitting out, and from what I could gather, he wants to see what happens with somebody like Justin Jefferson.
Ooh.
Who's going to set the market and then work off of that? Yeah. And so the longer this goes, this could be now. They did exercise the 5th-year option on him, but
smart.
This could turn a little nasty, right? Depending on how the egos work, and so let's see. But he may not want to sign until he sees, hey, what is Justin Jefferson going to get? And then work off of that. And then if that's the case, well,
Cowboys might not be able to match it.
Right. So that's just my thought there.
Well, keep on picking here, Dave, because Michael Parsons is also sitting out. But he has 2 years left on his rookie contract, which is slated. Well, right now he's making a little under $3 million a year, and this year he's slated to make $21.3 million. So
he had something like 14 sacks last year. From what I understand, he plans to attend this week, the second week of their OTAs. He's planning on attending. But then also the other thing I was reading was that he's not in a rush. He's fine. But I think that the Cowboys are going to work something out for him. I think, and if you think about it, see, he still has 2 years left on the contract. So if you're the team and if you can get him to sign a longer term contract, they may be saving themselves money over the long haul, especially if he has another big year. So I think if I'm the Cowboys, I think that they're going to try to give him the bag. And then it's just a matter of Michael Parsons. Is he willing to accept that for that? Some guarantees on what he's going to be making over the next years. Because again, with all this stuff, what's overlaying the Damocles sword over everybody's head is the injury. So then it's like, okay, I'm going to hold out this year, have a big season so I can get more money next year. But then if you get hurt, then that all goes out the window. So I think that maybe the Cowboys and Michael Parsons come to an agreement where they extend him, before he reaches the end of his contract.
What do you think, Reg?
Nothing to see here. Michael Parsons will be a Cowboy.
So, so you think they're going to sign both of them? Okay, all right.
I think they're going to find a way. I'm not saying they're going to be any good once they do, but like, what are the Cowboys? What do you have then? Just Dak? Let's imagine the Cowboys with no Micah and with no CeeDee Lamb. It's Dak and Ezekiel Elliott. Is that what we're running with? A Trayvon Diggs coming off an injury? Is that what we're rebuilding with? Got to have somebody. Somebody's got to get the money.
Well, see, in the case of Parsons, they got 2 years. He still has 2 years on his contract.
And Parsons doesn't seem pressed. I've seen other interviews with him as well.
Yeah.
He seems like he thinks it's going to get done too. He doesn't seem too concerned.
The Bungles, T. Higgins, he has the tag, but he hasn't signed it yet. He says he's not going to sign it until absolutely the last day. What do you think, T. Higgins? Right now, he's got the tag for 21.8.
I'd leave the tag there, man. I'm sticking with the tag. I mean, I'm tagging here, man. I'm sorry.
What are you doing there, Dave?
Maybe we get a Le'Veon Bell type situation. Because he hasn't signed yet, and from what I understand, is he wanted to be traded.
Yeah, he
made a little bit of noise at the beginning for sure.
Man,
in the season.
But they've already.
I agree with Reggie. I think that they're gonna stick with the tag, and then it's like, okay, well, what are they gonna get out of them?
Yeah, because what's his name is gone, right? Who was the other wide receiver?
Tyler Boyd.
Yeah, he's gone, right?
He's signed. Yeah, he's signed.
Yeah, that's
the Chargers or somewhere.
Yeah, that's the one we lowballed. Okay. Ayuk, he's slated to play under his 5th-year option for a base salary of $14.1 million for the 49ers. What do you think, Dave? Tag him or bag him?
The 49ers are keeping him. There was all this talk about, remember, with the Steelers and all this kind of stuff, and San Francisco is not going to give him up. I think they're going to do what they have to do to make him happy. Agreed. So I think he may end up with the bag. I think they're talking.
The Bucks left tackle Tristan Wills. He's on his 5th-year option worth $18.24 million guaranteed. What do you think? The Bucks going to keep him or are they going to give him the bag or are they going to give him the tag for this 5th year? What do you think, Reg? I'm
going to say tag, but working on the bag here. Maybe they give him the tag. There's some of these guys that, and I really felt like this is the same space that Micah and CD occupied. And there's guys that we're looking at the details between them tagging or getting a bag now, but it's just hard for me to see a scenario where they leave the team in general. It's just hard for me to see the team just letting these guys walk out of there. And I would be surprised if unless he just turns in a trash of a year, I'd be surprised if he doesn't end up being with the Bucks long term.
Man,
it'd just be shocking to me.
They got to keep Baker upright. What do you think? What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, I think with the left tackles, the high end I think is around $25 million a year right now, and $18 million, pretty good cash. If they tag him, I think he would be foolish to mess around with that. Play it out and then
play it. Yes, for sure.
Make your money, and then he'll be able to negotiate with whomever. I don't think that he's going to sign before then. I think what's going to happen with him is he's going to be tagged. He's going to play the season. He's going to have an incentive to play well, and then left tackles. He's probably going to be looking for a contract. 23, 24, 25 million a year.
Yeah. Now, here's the one that really surprised me. A kicker, no less. We had the Panthers kicker, Ed Pinerno. I'll get it straight here sooner or later. Is saying that he wants more than the $2.5 million that he's due this year. He wants to get paid like Justin Tucker and Jake Elliott. They all make over $6 million. What's your thoughts
He's not
here?
going to make that. And why would I pay you like Justin Tucker? Like, why would I do that? Like, you were coming from the Panthers. I'm not going to say the Panthers kicking game is horrible. I'm not going to say he's a horrible kicker. But I don't hear Pinero's name being mentioned like I hear Justin Tucker. I don't hear Justin Tucker and then a Pinero mentioned on the Mount Rushmore of kickers right now. So maybe he's that great. I don't know what his leverage is. But yeah, God bless him, man. You can ask for whatever you want to ask for, So hey, knock yourself out. I'm not sure. Maybe his agent can make that work, but maybe somebody can correct me. I don't know if he's as good as Justin Tucker.
Hey, it won't be me.
I think Justin Tucker's probably going to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
as a matter of fact.
I looked up Pinero's stats on the Pro Football Reference. He only hit 86% of his field goals last year.
No. You're not getting $6 million.
He does have a long leg. He hit 5 of 7 over 50, and I think he had a long of 56. But anymore, that's not spectacular.
Correct.
And so, could he maybe make a little bit more money? Like $3 million, $3.5 million, maybe. But I mean, why would they pay him? Put him at the top of the league? I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
Yeah. I just thought it was ironic that a kicker's asking, a kicker's holding.
What is he going to hold out? Like, what is he going to do? Like, I mean,
well, a stat that I wish that they would do more of would be game-winning field goals.
Yeah, that's true. A clutch.
Like walk-off field goals, and I know Chris. I would love to see Chris Boswell's stats here because I've seen him win a number of games, and so to me, the kickers are very valuable. I wouldn't take them for granted. And that's just a type of stat that I would like to see more of so that you could compare the kickers on how they do. Like, this is the clutch moment. We either win it or we lose it right on this kick here.
Yeah. Reg, the Falcons face one of the easiest schedules in the NFL. And Orslowski actually says that having Penix taking reps in the OTAs is a waste of time. What do you think, Reggie?
I think, has Orlovsky ever heard of injuries before? Like, what are we going to have the kid? What else is he going to do? Like, we're going to have him doing nothing? We're just going to have him just sitting over there? Like, you drafted him 8th. You're going to have to at least participate in OTAs. You might not even be participating this year, at least participate in the OTAs. I don't see anything wrong with it. Personally, not unless you just absolutely know that he's just not. If you knew definitively that he's just not going to see the field, which I know that we're all kind of hoping for, then maybe I got you. But things happen, and he might. And what are you going to pull him out of nowhere? I don't see any issues with him doing OTAs personally. I'm not saying Orlovsky is not coming from anywhere. I get where he's coming from. And if everything goes according to plan, then it will be a waste of time because the kid's just not going to see the field. But I don't think that, just kind of doing their due diligence, so to speak, here. And I don't think there's really anything wrong with that.
Reggie, you want to give us your final thoughts? I tried to get you out there.
Week 1, Reggie. Week 1.
Yes, now that is my final thought. Dave just alluded to it. I just paid out of the ass for Atlanta Falcons tickets. I can go see my Steelers and my Falcons at the same time in the same stadium. I'm going to sit there dead quiet for the entire game, not cheering for either party. And that's it. I'm very excited. I'm very excited to be in the building, and I'm just going to use that as my final thought for next 4 months here. How many months do I have? about 5 months. So get used to hearing that final thought, guys. I'm going to use it over and over again because I can't wait to go to the game.
Oh man. Okay. All right. Yeah. So there's got to be moments when you're up out of your seat, though. We'll see.
We'll see if I can muster some kind of energy. But I'm just gonna sit there
I'm gonna
and
see
enjoy
if I
it.
can find somebody there with the hidden camera. Catch you when you jump up that first time and say, okay, all right, okay. Hey, well, Reg, good to have you back, man.
Absolutely,
we'll see you next week, or are you?
Yeah, man. I'll check my schedule. I'll probably have my schedule towards the end of this week. I will let you know, my friend. We'll see what's up.
All right.
All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of your evenings.
Take care, Reggie.
All right. See you later.
Okay, well, Dave, you haven't been here for a while, so we have to pick your brain, man. You know, I've been doing a lousy job of trying to take your place here, but it seems that have you heard anything about Cam holding out for OTAs? What's going on there? Why haven't we acquired that other corner? There still seems to be a few of them out there. I'm surprised that Xavier Howard is still on the market, among others. And have you seen any inkling of what we're going to do for that number one or number two wide receiver?
Yeah, well, first, Robert Wardell, he's put some comments on here, but he's saying that the Steelers will have their first losing season this year, and Tomlin retires, Russ and Fields are a joke. And, actually, I tend to agree that the Steelers could have their first losing season since 2003, but I look at the schedule that they were handed, and it is a brutal schedule.
Brutal, yes, it is.
and all 6 division games after week 11, no bye week in between, playing a Wednesday game on Christmas Day against the defending Super Bowl champions, the Chiefs, and then right before that playing the Ravens on short weeks. So Robert, the Steelers could have their first losing season since 2003, the year before they drafted Ben Roethlisberger. That's the last losing season that they've had. Mike Tomlin will not retire. He's due to be signed an extension. Art Rooney II said that he was going to sign into an extension. And when Art Rooney says something like that, you can pretty much take that to the bank. Now, is it going to be a 2-year, 3-year extension? I don't know. But we should find out probably before training camp starts. Cam Hayward, he's looking just to finish out gracefully. Hopefully, Pittsburgh allows him to do that. He for the first time in his career, he did not participate in the voluntary OTAs, but he did show up at Acrisure Stadium for a celebrity event, with Ben and James Harrison and all these other people that were making some money for charity. Mike Tomlin said he's talked to him. He's not worried. It's just a matter of, can they come to an agreement of how Cam is going to end his career. I cannot imagine him playing for another team. Could it happen? Yeah, but more than likely, Omar Khan is going to try to come to some type of an agreement with Cam. The question with the wide receivers, that's an interesting one, because part of it is what they've been doing is they've been stocking up on kind of a wide receiver. I wanted to ask Reggie about it, that played for Arthur Smith down in Atlanta, but they've also been picking up tight ends, and I think that part of it is, do they really need to have another number 2 wide receiver given Arthur Smith's offense? Because he may be playing a lot more a lot less 3 wide receiver sets and have a lot more, 11 personnel or 12 personnel, 2 tight ends, and to get the running game going. So I'm not sure. That's a question in my mind. Do they really have to find that player to play opposite of George Pickens, or are they going to rely on Pat getting the ball to Pat Fryermuth a lot more, and then using these other wide receivers and kind of rotating them opposite George Pickens? With the cornerback, they still have some options. There's still a couple guys that they still have, I think, 2 open positions on their 90-person roster. We'll see what happens. I think the key to it is training camp doesn't start until the end of July. That's when they really start putting the team together. So I'm not gonna lose any sleep over that right now.
Okay.
So and the last thing I wanted to mention about the Steelers is that. And I think probably the NFL felt bad for them for screwing them so badly on the schedule, but they were awarded the 2026 draft. So the
Yes,
2026
sir.
draft is going to be hosted in Pittsburgh, and I think I'm going to try to make it to that event. I think that'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm going to try to make it myself. Hopefully, as soon as I saw that, I'm like, where am I going to go in Pittsburgh? Who do I know back in Pittsburgh? But yeah, that might be I'm not going to say it's going to be as good as Detroit. We don't have an Eminem, but I know it'll probably have a great family theme, knowing the Steelers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a very special request for Sue.
What is that?
Next week, I would like to know what she thought of Harrison Barker's remarks.
Oh, Butker's remark from the Chiefs.
Right. And there's a controversy here. Travis Kelce says he will not play with him. Patrick Mahomes says it's his choice. He's not going to step into it. So I would like to know what Sue thinks about his remarks and about whether she thinks it'll cause dissension on the team, with Kelce having one stance and Patrick Mahomes having another.
Yeah. No, I will absolutely ask her.
Okay. With that, give us your final thoughts there, Dave. I know you've been traveling. You've been in LA. You've been to was it the state wrestling championships? And
yeah, it was a big
and Tunisia. We can't forget about Tunis. I mean,
and Tunisia. Yeah. No, I guess my final thought. Yeah, I was in LA last week. It struck me how huge it is. I've never been a big fan of LA, but I was just impressed by how big of an area it is. But again, the Pittsburgh theme, I'm in the hotel. I had a terrible towel hanging out of my backpack, and a worker there goes, "Hey, Yinzer." And I'm like, "Hey, you a burger?" This guy, he was probably about our age, somewhere in between you and me. Working at the hotel, and so it was kind of nice to see a burger out of sorts out in LA. That was kind of fun. But wherever I go, I have my terrible towel, and it never fails me.
Well, hey, you keep representing, Dave. And I was in Vegas last week with my family, and I represented also. Now, I did something that I don't usually do, and I bought a Russell Wilson shirt.
Oh.
So please don't let me have to be like the Cleveland fans and burn it like they did LeBron. you know. Yeah. I'm pulling for Russell and Justin. I think
Yeah.
we've made some good moves. I'm hoping that they prove out. Like I said, it's not like we signed either one of them for a long-term contract, So if I'm satisfied this year with a 10-8 season. I don't think it's going to be a losing season, and you know. Strangely enough, even with that hard schedule, I'm going to pull for us to keep having a winning season.
Oh yeah, I'm going to go to as many games as I can go to, and Russell Wilson, he's not the long term solution, but if we can get a year or two out of him, that's great. If Justin Fields, if all of a sudden he has talent, and if that can be unleashed and
And we can put some
he can
pieces around
perform,
him. And we can put a couple pieces around him. We need there's a couple pieces I think we need to put around him to make sure they can stay upright and they have somebody to throw the ball to.
yeah, and the draft, and what they did in the draft, I think speaks to it. I mean, three linemen in the first 3 rounds.
Well, watch out for that kid. Was it Roman Wilson?
The receiver, Roman Wilson.
Yeah, watch out for him. I'm thinking that he's gonna make some noise. He might end up being that guy.
I can't wait for training camp. I'm going to miss the first half, but I can't wait. I'm going to be there for the second half, and I can't wait to see some of these guys in action. Because you got Peyton Wilson, Roman Wilson. You had a defensive back, the last pick that they had, and he apparently fit all the physical characteristics that they look for. So you never know. So sometimes they find a diamond in the rough. Down there in those lower rounds.
There's a Tom Brady at quarterback. I mean, cornerbacks. Hey, we've had a Island, and hey, some of these guys make their mark. Like I said, prideful position when get him on the ground any way possible.
Right. I really enjoyed listening to Saquon. That was really, really interesting. I hope he comes back on.
Yeah, I hope to have guys back on, and like I said, kind of make it, kind of interesting. I know, some of the guys, especially when some of the guys aren't here, we can have a guest in and have a little talk. So, I mean, hey, I'm trying to keep within your limit here, Dave. We're less than 90 minutes, man. So,
beautiful, love it. Take care, Red. Take care, James.
You have a great day. I'll talk to you next week.
All right. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Be safe. Well, everyone, we have just ended another session of the Sports Krib. Glad you could join us. We appreciate your time. And don't forget to join us right here next week on the Sports Krib. Have a great night and a great weekend, everyone. See you then.